Hello, my name is Matisse Cavodi. I'd like to welcome you guys to my channel. Today we're going to talk about the X Necrosha story. It came out in 2009, 2010, written by Craig Kyle and Christopher Yost. They really did a good job building up to this story because during the whole X-Force run up until this point, because this takes place in issues 21 to 25 and in a one-shot, during the whole run they were building up the story, building up the return of the Black Queen, building up her whole mythos. And the payoff itself, the story, it's really solid, even though the conclusion's a little weak. We're going to get into that. I didn't like the way they finished her off and stuff like that. But the story itself, I found it to be really enjoyable. Clayton Crain's art is fantastic with the dark tone of the story, even though I do bitch about that he uses too much darkness in his stories, and sometimes you don't understand what the hell's going on. His art style in this story and during most of the X-Force run, he really did a good job. What else can I say? It takes place in X-Force issues 21 to 25, also in a one-shot. And without further ado, before I spoil the hell out of the story, it's worth a read. It's a fun read. There's a shit ton of fan service. They're pretty shameless with it. They bring back a ton of really obscure mutant characters that have died off. A lot of them died off during the 80s, so it's like, I'm an old school X-Men fan, so I was really happy to see some of these characters back in action, at least for a little bit. So without further ado, let's get into the story. We have the return of the Black Queen. As I said before, this series really took its time in building her up and establishing her motives, what she wants, what are her evil plans. Here we discover that, like, we always knew that the Black Queen was older than hell. Like, I think she's part of a group of mutants called I think they're called, not the Eternals, the Externals. Like, they're a group of immortal mutants. Apocalypse, I think, is part of one of those mutants. Gideon was another guy. So she was born in Central Europe. It's established after the disappearance of Atlantis. So she's super old. Her mother dies during her death. We have a fantastic shot Black Queen's ass, and she's established a team of really dangerous mutants that are going to be her henchmen to execute her plan. So we have Kevin Ford, he's with her. He has a death touch. We have Blink, who has teleportation powers. This is a 616 Blink, so her powers are sort of different from the Exiles Blink. Like, her teleportation powers are sort of messed up, and they sort of destroy you if she tries to teleport other people. We have Senjaka. This guy was like a C-list Magneto henchman. He was part of the Alkalites, and this story actually makes him out to be really cool. We have another character I had no idea existed. Her name was Mortis. And we have Ellie Bard. He's actually the main architect of this whole story. He's the one that gets his hands on the techno-organic virus. And to hatch this plan to bring back a shit ton of mutants, to bring all kinds of grief to the X-Men. But I'm sort of getting ahead of myself. But the idea is that a long time ago, Black Queen put a curse on him because he failed to execute one of her plans, turned him into this immortal vampire. And this whole plan that he hatches with the techno-organic virus is to win back her love and maybe lift the curse. It's never established. Like, he wants to win back Black Queen's love, and it's not established what else he wants from her. But let's get into the story. Black Queen is back. She brought out with the techno-organic virus that Ellie Bard gave to her. She resuscitated a shit ton of mutants, and they're after something. So her forces attack Utopia. On Utopia, we have X-Force. We have poor X-23. She got her arm ripped off in the previous story, so she has to reimplant her claws. Elixir apparently is dying, or he's almost dead, so he's out of commission. It's a dark and scary night. We have White Queen, Emma Frost. She's patrolling the Utopia corridors. She has a feeling that something's wrong, and she sees her old students, the Hellions, are back, and White Queen just freaks out. And seeing the Hellions, they're such awesome characters, old school. As I said before, this is really fantastic fan service. So at the same time that Black Queen is attacking Utopia. She's also making her power move to take over the Hellfire Club, so she's killing Hellfire soldiers left and right. So at the same time, other members of X-Force are arriving. We have Archangel, Warpath, this Asgardian wolf guy that I can never remember his name. But the thing is, he's Wolfsbane's boyfriend. They established a relationship prior to this. Thing is, Wolfbane was hurt during a battle with the Frost Giants, so they arrived to Utopia X to see if they can fix her up. But when they get there, we have the return of Pyro. Oh, one of my favorite loser mutants, but I always love this character. He's back. We have this other guy. He's a Morlock. I can't remember his name, but I remember him during the Mutant Massacre. They receive him and go into battle. This happens. Black Queen teleports with Blink and company to Genosha. And like this establishing shot, Genosha, obviously all the mutants were killed by this gigantic sentinel. I think it was like 7 million mutants were killed. She arrives and she has some really, really shitty plans for the poor dead people of Genosha. So part of the one shot, we have the return of Douglas Ramsey, a really, really interesting character from the New Mutants era. He has the ability to understand language, and like in this story and in the New Mutants series that came out around this time, they really, really use his powers in very interesting ways. So it's really cool to see Doug Ramsey's back. Obviously, after this crossover, most of the characters that they bring back stay dead or go back to being dead. Doug stays around happily. He's back in the world of the living. We also have the return of Destiny, but they don't use her too interestingly in the story. She feels sort of like a wasted opportunity because this particular story arc actually crosses over with other X titles like X-Men Legacy. But we're going to cover that in another video. The X-Men are having to deal with a full-blown attack, but look at the characters they bring back. We have Furo. This guy, his name is Stonewall. We haven't seen him since way back in the 80s. Tower, another character that disappeared back in the 80s. Dark Star, Hurricane, Spine. I don't remember the name of this guy. He was part of the Mutant Liberation Front, but I can't remember his name. I have his name in Spanish here, but I don't know how to translate it. We have Rusty Collins. He's back too. And turn of Banshee. Like when the X-Men see Banshee, because all the other characters were or enemies or antagonists to the X-Men, so they didn't feel like they were freaking out over the whole situation because they knew these guys were dead, but like they were bad guys. But we have the return of some heroes like Banshee, and here's like where Cyclops and Emma Frost sort of start freaking out. It's like, what the hell is going on? And they realize that they're under some type of mind control. In this case, the techno-organic virus. They're sapped of their free will. They can't. Like, they try to fight against it, and even establishing the dialogues like, I can't help it, I can't stop attacking you, run, just, all you can do is just run. Sense of helplessness during this whole story, like, Archangel just starts cutting guys in half and stuff like that, and thanks to the techno-organic virus, they start to regenerate like nothing, so these guys are virtually undefeatable. And back in Necrosha, Ellie Bard uses his techno-organic virus and resuscitates all 7 million mutants. So, literally, the shit really hits the fan at this moment. Like, we even get the return of Negasonic Teenage Warhead, a character that you only saw in one panel or two in the new X-Men series. So, Selene gets her zombie mutant army. We also get the return of Cinch, of Skin. Magneto has to deal with his old school alkalites. Cena Blaze is back, another really obscure character. Like, they really took their time to investigate. While this is happening, they discover that Wolfsbane is actually pregnant, and they discover the child is not human nor mutant. It's like he's a weird mix of Asgardian wolf person with magic. So the Asgardian wolf dude, as I said before, I can't remember his name, decides to make a deal with Hela. And it's so cool to even see her in the story. Her character design is fantastic. And what he does, he makes a deal with the devil, literally, to save Ryan's life. He gives his soul to Hela, in exchange for bringing back actually Elixir. It was all jacked up. I can't remember what the hell happened to him. And Elixir saves Wolfsbane's life. But when he does, actually, in a way, Wolfsbane's DNA mixes with the child, this guardian child inside. So she sort of gets like a power upgrade. And it's a sort of cool way of upgrading her power. So she becomes more resistant and she has more strength and stuff like that. So Black Queen wants to use the souls of all these resuscitated mutants, channel them, devour them, and become a god. And she needs a dagger that Elibard had. He had lost, but the thing is, he lost it fighting against the demon bear. He got into some mystical mischief with Apache warriors, where the tribe where Warpath comes from. He lost a dagger. He confides it to Blink. He says, "Hey man, Blink, can you help me with this?" And Blink takes her immediately to the Black Queen, rats on Elibard, and that's why we discover the whole battle, why they were attacking the X-Men, is trying to find Black Queen's dagger, mystical dagger that she had lost. The same daggers that she tried to use to enslave all the souls of Rome way back in the day, the whole plan that Elibard screwed up and led to him being cursed in the first place. So Black Queen's forces arrive on Utopia, and things go from bad to worse. We also have a little brief tie-in with Deadpool that he wanted to become an X-Men. Cyclops didn't want him on the team, but he found his way onto Utopia during this whole situation. He is confronted with some old Alkalite members, and in a really funny way, he discovers how to kill off these techno-organic zombies using this mutant called Trance's powers, shorting out their powers. So it's a fun little tie-in there. Then, as the story trudges on, we have a awesome battle with X-Force against Black Queen's forces. Shinjaka, and the way Clayton Crain colors and shows off his whip is really awesome. Blink just destroys Archangel's wings using her teleportation powers. We have here the healing of Wolfsbane. We get the death, like they trim down some unneeded mutants, like Diamond Little gets killed in the story. This guy, I think it's called Onyx. It's like a strong powerhouse guy. Wither just kills him off really quickly. Black Queen's forces get their hands on the dagger, and they start preparing for the whole ritual sacrifice of all these souls, so Black Queen could become a god. Black Queen kills poor Elibard. Like, this guy took a shit ton of effort in building up this plan for her to make her a god. Black Queen just stabs him. Poor guy dies. X-Force arrive on Genosha trying to stop the situation. Like, this is art. They see this army, like, the art is really, really good, and it really establishes the helplessness and the somber mood of the story. X-Force really let loose with this zombie army, just slashing and cutting into all these guys, body parts flying all over the place. They do a really good job. And the end of the story, where Black Queen becomes like this gigantic person, god, like it just look, she comes like uber powerful, and she absorbs all the souls. We get a final showdown with X-Force against her minions, Wither, Shinjaka. That showdown is actually pretty good, but basically what happens is they stab her with the dagger, she dies, but they didn't show anything interesting about Selene becoming a god. Like, they could have shown like Entropy arriving and trying to make a deal with her, or I don't know, some kind of a Marvel deity trying to insert himself into this whole conflict because Selene was going to alter the balance of power between life and death or something like that. It's like they sort of forgot about that part in the story, but the rest of it, it's really solid. It's great to see a ton of these characters. Most of these characters are killed, but some are left behind. They're still alive, and I recommend this story. So see you guys next time. Bye.